Hello, good evening and welcome to DC Network. I am Dingney Team Hauke bringing you today's news. Today's top headlines include: heavy firing took place after Valy-based insurgent groups launched attack on Kizo village in Kangpokpi district. Kizo delegation met Home Ministry officials. India scraps free movement regime with Myanmar, says Union Home Minister Amit Shah. News in details. Kangpokpi district finds itself in the grip of escalating tension following two separate attacks reportedly carried out by armed miscreants believed to be combined force of Meitei militants like UN-11 Meitei radical group like the Arambai Tengol. The incidents occurred on the evening of February 7. According to reports emerging from the region, the unrest began when a significant movement of armed individuals was observed making their way from the valley towards the Paileng Mall Hills, brandishing sophisticated weaponaries. This development immediately set off alarm bells among locals who feared the implications of such a coordinated movement. However, the situation took a dire turn later in evening as El Tang Nom Kukizo village in the Kangchup Lemahong area came under attack from armed assailants purportedly hailing from Senjam Chirang and Kautruk, peripheral valley villages bordering Kangchup Lemahong. Eyewitnesses recount a scene of chaos as sporadic gunfights ensued, persisting into the early hours of the morning. Remarkably, despite the intensity of the clashes, there have been no report of casualties on either side. However, another assault was launched, this time targeting El Tangnom village once again. As reported from the region, firing still continues until this report is constituted and the Meitei militants who attacked the Kizo village believed to have retreated. The unrest did not confine itself to a single location, as reports soon emerged of a separate attack in Mong Tham Kizo village, situated in the Paileng Mall area near Maphau Dam. A 9-member delegation of Kizo groups met a team of officials from the Ministry of Home Affairs on Wednesday, where they raised the scrapping of the free movement regime with Myanmar and the January 24 Kangla Fort incident in Imphal, when Arambai Tengol, a radical Meitei group, administered oath to elected representatives to protect the integrity of Manipur. The meeting that was led by A.K. Misra, Advisor Northeast, Ministry of Home Affairs and Intelligence Bureau officials, lasted 3 hours. The tribal delegation also raised the issue of continued power outages in the hill districts of Churachandpur and Firjol. As per the Hindu, MHA officials assured the delegation that their issues will be conveyed to the higher authorities. The tribal bodies have been seeking an appointment with Union Home Minister Amit Shah, but no meeting has been scheduled yet. A delegate who attended the meeting said that the demand for a separate administration for the Kizo people still exists, and they would continue to press for it. The meeting comes day after Manipur Chief Minister and Biren Singh met Shah in Delhi on February 3. On Tuesday, Shah said that the government had decided to construct a fence along the 1,643-kilometer border with Myanmar, effectively ending the FMR. Under the FMR, every member of the hill tribes who is either a citizen of India or a citizen of Myanmar, residing within 16 kilometers on either side of the border, can cross the border on the production of a border pass, usually valid for a year, and can stay up to 2 weeks per visit. India and Myanmar share an unfenced border, and people on either side, including the Kizo people, have familial and ethnic ties that prompted the arrangement in the 1970s. The FMR was last revised in 2016. Singh has on several occasions in the past attributed the ongoing ethnic violence in the state to the unregulated movement of people across the border. Manipur has been affected by ethnic violence between the tribal Kizo people and the Meitei community since May 2023. More than 200 people have been killed and thousands displaced from their homes. Union Home Minister Amit Shah on 8 February said that the Ministry of Home Affairs has decided that the free movement regime between India and Myanmar be scrapped. Calling it PM's Modi's resolve to secure our borders, Shah said that the decision was taken in order to ensure the internal security of the country and to maintain the demographic structures of India's northeastern states bordering Myanmar. Taking to X, Shah wrote, "Since the Ministry of External Affairs is currently in the process of scrapping it, MHA has recommended the immediate suspension of the FMR." This announcement came just 2 days after Shah said that India has decided to fence the entire 1,643-kilometer long India-Myanmar border. The FMR allows people residing close to the Indian-Myanmar border to venture 16 kilometers into each other's territory without any documents. It has been decided to construct a fence along the entire 1,643-kilometer long Indo-Myanmar border. To facilitate better surveillance, a patrol track along the border will also be paved, Shah said. The Indian-Myanmar border, which passes through Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh, had FMR, which is now scrapped. It was implemented in 2018 as part of India's Act East policy. Fencing along the border has been a persistent demand of the Imphal Valley-based Meitei groups, which has been alleging that tribal militants often enter into India through the porous border. Reactions from northeastern border states. The Meitei groups also allege that narcotics are being smuggled into India, taking advantage of the unfenced international border. When the Indian had taken the decision to fence the India-Myanmar border, it had evoked mixed reactions, with the Kizo people claiming that the move will sever ethnic ties, while Meitei organization had hailed the step, saying it will check movement of unscrupulous elements from across the border. The Mizo Pol, the apex students' body of Mizoram, said fencing the border will divide the Zo-ethnic people between the two countries and bring an end to the free movement regime. The Mizoram government and the Central Young Mizo Association, the state's largest civil organization, also opposed the move to fence the border. Mizoram CM Laldu Oma had earlier said Mizo people can't accept the present Indo-Myanmar border, as it was imposed by the British during colonial period without consulting the Mizo people, and fencing the border would mean accepting the colonial democration. Naga bodies in Manipur also said border fencing and cancellation of FMR is not acceptable to them. President NG Lorho of the United Naga Council, the apex Naga body in the state, had told news agency PTI, "We are against border fencing. Whatever Union Home Minister said is not acceptable to the UNC." Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Pema Khandu hailed the decision of the center to fence the border and had said that the move will check the movement of unscrupulous elements from across the border. "A great move in the right direction to make our borders foolproof. Gratitude to Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji and Honorable Home Minister Sri Amit Shah ji to fence our borders along Myanmar," Khandu had written on X. 9 months have passed since the start of the ethnic violence in Manipur. The situation, instead of getting better, is getting worse day by day. The mistrust between the two communities involved in the conflict has deepened because of the continuing false propaganda and the continued attacks and counterattacks. In its present statement, the Joy United states that the passage of time, instead of healing wounds, has only deepened the divide between the minority Kuki tribals and the majority Meitei community. All this is happening because one side, the Meitei community, which controls all levels of powers instead, is being helped by the state government in its ethnic cleansing campaign. This means there can be no stalemate as the Meitei side, which is allowed by the government to accumulate huge resources including guns, ammunition and other combat equipment, continues to attack tribal villages in different areas along the foothills. Support given to them is clear from the fact that they are able to repeatedly cross the military buffer zones in certain areas to attack tribal settlements without being stopped by security forces. Tribals can't cross the buffer zones, but Meiteis can, added the statement. How is this possible? They are even able to drive bulletproof vehicles, which are obviously supplied by state police forces, to tribal villages and go back to their areas after a raid without being intercepted by any of the security forces. The government, instead of trying to ensure peace and helping all the sections of the society, has shown itself to be partial player and has continued to act against a section of its own citizens, the minority Kizo tribals. This has led to radical elements gaining prominence day by day, and the state administration ceding ground to militants gradually. The press statement further said the surrender of the state to Meitei militants was complete on January 24, 2024, when 37 MLAs and 2 MPs from the Meitei community literally bowed down to a non-state militia armed with weapons stolen from government armories. The state lawmakers also took an oath administered by the militia. The videos and pictures are there for all to see on social media. The state government is no longer a government of the people of Manipur, but a Taliban government run by Arambai Tengol, an armed militant group which work only for Meiteis and whose state purpose is to conduct genocide on tribals. We cannot continue to be under an administration which is controlled by a community which declares war on us and openly says that it will kill all of us. There is no other option but for the central government to arrange a separate administration, union territory with legislature for tribals so that they can live a dignified life under the Constitution of India. A consultative meeting was held today at Tecnopal district headquarters organized by the Kuki in Tecnopal at around 11 in the morning, where the leaders from various Kizo, CSOs, student leaders, women organization leaders, village chief and other eminent personality in the district took part. As part of the consultative meeting, various points pertaining to ethnic violence in the state were discussed. Various leaders shared their opinions that made the meeting a constructive one. Issues regarding Meitei atrocities, especially in Kizo-dominated Morit town, burning of schools, civilian houses, and churches, harassing of innocent civilians by the Meitei police commandos were deliberated. A number of resolutions were unanimously taken as part of the consultative meeting. Some of the important points of resolution were safeguarding our land with teeth and nail, withdrawal of state police commando in Kizo-dominated areas, especially from Morit town, to strongly oppose the central proposal of scrapping the free movement regime and fencing off Indo-Myanmar border, to endorse the demand of separate administration, union territory, with legislature with Pondicherry Patan, to maintain the buffer zone set up by the central government. People representatives like MLA, MDC, etc. to go hand in hand with the public, and if the need arises, they should be ready to resign from their posts as per people's aspiration.
Kung antunguti anom sisi agina Kizo gamsung ade amore a commando la do te ding ino muam
anom misal lai chu sai san khat 1 minute samna siemu ten more ho chapong school paten kai sauten school a harji wa he isi po na ho noro theham
oi ai chu chi thai point thom na chun center government in free movement regime FMR la do ding to gon ani hi Kizo cha ten ki pom thailo ding a hi chule border fencing building ki ti zong itin diwa hi inobam alina chun Kizo political demand separate administration union territory with legislator Pondicherry pattern hi mi piten kita sot jing ding hi chi nyau khat zo united meeting isolation kyong ka yaw MLA hole su group ho kinuk tu na face khat na an ki tup nu ai ki tup tu na samit an bolu ai achuna hi chi tu ta dia chu mi piten khun itun bi phok nga yan na khun nga chu chang ke ho boi wa yan ta ami lo de hiu le khiam ni we na ai wa tu ta dia chu pp la na a chu api lu noi pha na chu consultative yong ama sapen apat na ya chu a chu ka pi kai la boi di we chu pp la tu din mun jana na to so ti ti chu pp ho ko ma ga ha sa tin chu nok na wam kun dong ti ki pa me ale angana chun central government in buffer zone ki ibol pi u hi akilin na lo ding in mi pi ten kilung tu ta in pan lau ti ichi buffer zone hi sudat lo ti ti na he na ino mo wam kun dong ti point group na chun Temapal district sung elected representative MLA MP MDC etc zo sit mi pi in angai chat nong zuya ki resign ding apoi mo zong le ki resign so ke ding wa hi chi hi ho en lam kai ho pressure representative ho pressure pi na diu ki nok to na hi chu chu i phasa na wa ka sa la ko ta mu ti ni ma ai so tham pi a ma nga ko tu lang ho le ITLF for in resolution an bol pau so ne ma ni hon nong se to ki to hi wa chu in bu no hin na chu ko ti tum ta wen consultative mi chu alo thengai tan pathin zalen na tu in kichi point ke pe ho chu in za so ke di hin a point chu e tu za na chu ka sei so ke de ti la chu ni thum di hin na ai ba nga chu chi wa chu i pe ham productive suggestion ti di ham chu ka se ya le to hom pi ho yong hin ngai no mo wen tin ting le action ong ke la thein ti na productive hi ke ta gel yu mo wale chu lunggel zo aban banin phat an hong te lo na discussion ta to it point be
A worker from the French missionary prayer band, Evangelist Tang Van Sanguite, distributed relief materials donated by various NGOP organizations today, stored at his old residence in Persian Moon. The relief materials were donated for the refugees who are victims of war in regards to the current crisis prevailing in Manipur. The relief materials were distributed at Bungmol EBC, Humintang Mandab, Lamka College, Lighthouse and AG School. The distributed items include 90 bottles of Harpic, 90 pieces of Colgate Super Strong, 90 units of diaper, 5 bags of black chana, 90 pieces of sardine tin fish, 5 Uniwash detergent bags, 9 boxes of Niras oil, 9 boxes of Best Choice oil, 90 pieces of Garam Pani tea leaves, 9 boxes of everyday milk powder, 5 bags of sugar and 5 bags of suji. The distributed materials were worth rupees 1,67,799. The medications distributed include 20 boxes of Entrogermina, 4 boxes of Brigade sachet, 10 boxes of Brigade capsule, 50 bottles of gin syrup, 60 bottles of enzyme, 50 bottles of metron syrup, 400 pieces of Waly syrup, 30 bottles of MEFQUR paracetamol syrup, and 30 bottles of multivitamin syrup. The medications were worth rupees 32,201. Today at around 7:30 a.m., the first Kuki Nampi Tauna KNT fasting prayer for the year 2024 was organized at Smoltam KBC Church under the theme, My People Called by My Name, based from 2 Chronicles 7:14. The main prayer points are thanksgiving prayer for God's continual mercy and protection, asking pardon and mercy over our sins on behalf of our tribe, a prayer for the refugees and displaced people of our community, prayers for the village volunteers, our soldiers, government armies, religious leaders, for the youths who are indulged in drugs, tribe leaders, and also for the various governing authorities like the CSOs, Kuki in Peace, Joy United, ITLF, MLAs, and other officials to stand unitedly and fight the war together with the same principles and goals. The prayer organization also prayed for the education of the youths and also for the Meitei to stop spreading false news and to fight the war justly with proper war ethics. They also prayed for the center to grant a separate administration. Evan Salal thanked everyone who joined the prayer session. This prayer program is held after every 2 months and that God is our only refuge, he added.
Tunin pathin long sit na zalin Kuki Nampi Tauna kenti tu kumadinga thani sile anek bolding anekiti chun tuni tu kumading apat na aneki bolin awayong mitam ta es molcham KBC church mona mi tam ta in tauna nam pia ding an tauna anakin nein mi te ho thanom ta in pathin bonding an ahong khom win to hen pathina ding in hi chun kineu sa ta in pathina ding in ki pithing ten tauna kinai khome ti hi kan phon do hen tin e chun ahong khom zo se achi khoma ken timna nam pi ding ahong tau zo se chunga ki pa thui se ne he to na ding in keima vice chairman evangelist sailal lupeng keman ki pa thu kan pu ne tunin pathen long.
That is all for today's news and have a pleasant evening ahead.